Hi there. It's Earth Day, April 22nd, and I am especially blessed because my birthday is on this day. So it makes me very, very happy to have my Earth Day. Now, maybe it was forecast or something like that, that I would be a living green man, that I would be wearing the green and carrying the great tradition and wisdom of nature. And you know, this April Earth Day 22nd is also this year very much an Easter time. And Easter is the the celebration and the commemoration of the resurrection of life that is ever renewing. And that goes way back in time. It goes back to one of the great resurrection gods in ancient Egypt called Osiris. And it was replayed by the mythic god Dionysius in ancient Greece and carried on by Jesus of Nazareth. These are all gods who are able to, as I say, resurrect themselves, regenerate, rebirth themselves, renew and restart themselves. And I think that's what we all want in life. I mean, if there's one thing you could ask for in life, it would be the ability to renew yourself. I think that's the fountain of youth. The holy grail is to always stay fresh and young mentally, and emotionally and physically for sure, and also be able to renew and regenerate your work, your money, your love life, your relationships, to keep it going, to keep on keeping on. And that's what Earth Day is really all about, because Earth for 2.5 billion years has been able to renew itself and regrow itself. And it's actually gone through I believe, 4 or 5 complete devastations, if you will, and has always been able to rebound. And I think that, you know, when you look at the quality of your life, and it's really about, not that it's always going good and all that, we love that, but it's about the ability to rebound from setback. It's about the ability to be resilient and to be able to renew yourself and regrow yourself and rebirth yourself through adversity. And you know, we see that in nature. Those volcanoes, there's storms and all of this, and the birds renew themselves and the plants come back. So nature to me is the ultimate wisdom guide. I mean, we look for gurus, we look for ideologies, we look for movements, but honestly, look at nature. Nature knows how. And don't fool yourself thinking we're separate from nature. I think one of the greatest challenges of our time is to stay in touch with nature as life becomes more and more mechanical and robotic, if you will. And once we disconnect from nature, we are in trouble. So trying to war with nature, rape nature, defoliate nature, poison nature, is killing ourselves. It's a form of suicide, because we are in effect destroying our own roots, where we come from. And it's so interesting that when you look at the DNA of the human being, uh, when you look at it with the naked eye, without any microscopes and all that, uh, the ultimate molecule, the chromosome of DNA for us humans, is exactly the same, as I say, to the naked eye, as it is for every living organism on the planet, from worms to eagles to palm trees to plants of all kind. So we are nature, but of course we've disconnected because we have this massive brain, and with the brain we have variety and we have choice. So for me, the idea of going back to nature is not going back literally to live in nature, but to reconnect with nature and its meaning for us. But that's a choice to do that. But when we choose to follow nature's ways and nature's wisdoms, wow, you really have what for me is the ultimate spiritual path, because it's the path of renewability and aliveness. And so I always knew this as a child. I would always go through the woods on the way back from school when you could walk to school and ride your bike and all of that. And I'd always play out in the woods in the gully whenever I felt lonely or weird or anything like that. Nature is the healer, that is for sure, and the mentor and teacher for all aspects of life. So it was 25 years ago, during the holiday season, when I really didn't have a lot of work. I just started making these little collages, nature collages, little ones, just knowing that intuitively that someday this might be of great value. So for years and years and years, I made these little collages, and I had well over 100 of these. And then one day, a little while ago, I started getting into the word sustainability and the sustainable life and how to sustain. And bingo, it kind of like, wow, it was a great aha for me. It was like, wow, that's what all these beautiful little nature cards I've made are about. They're guides to renewing yourself. And just think about it. Imagine that you can always have that renewability going. And renewability, by the way, is an ability. And it's something that we can cultivate, but we have to cultivate it intentionally and consciously. And so to that end, I got fired up by sustainability, and I made a deck of cards. And this deck is called Sustainable, 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 Sustain Yourself cards. It's 101 sustainability cards from the mineral world, the elemental world, the animal world, the plant world, and even from the early human world. These 101 symbols represent how nature has done it, is able to keep renewing itself again and again. Sustain, sustain, sustain. And so I love this deck. You can always get this on my website, James Wanless, WANLESS.com. There's now a nice little guidebook that's in there. I love this deck. But you know what? I found after a while that the book is a great book. I mean, I think, of course, but it's kind of small. I mean, look at this. I mean, you can see how small this deck is, really. It holds in my hands. And so I said to myself, gee, I think I can do better, or at least make it more readable for you all. So I kind of edited that book, but I basically wrote a new guidebook to these 101 cards, and I call it Nature's 101 Secrets of Success. And so I've broken down each one of these cards in terms of what it means for you regarding money. I mean, it's real practical, really down to earth, if you will. What it means for your work, what it means for your relationships, what it means for your health, what it means for your personal growth, and of course, what it means for your personal renewability and sustainability. Now, each one of these books, and I have a lot of books I'm going to introduce you to, each one is different. But what I've done is I've taken one of these cards from the Sustain Yourself deck and have pasted it on somewhere in this book, on the back of it or whatever. And the card itself is a real sign of how you can stay young, stay fit, keep on. I saw a great thing the other day, because it's all about the ability to Re to me is the holy grail of today, because we live a long life, and that is the greatest game changer we have in life, is the length of our life. And it's a complex life, it's a daunting life, it's an uncertain life, it's a changing life, it's a demanding life. So this, to me, the most indispensable skill of 21st century living is the ability to keep on keeping on. That's there. But we need, a practice or a growth path to maintain this focus on that. Otherwise, we crap out and we have a long way to go. So each one of these works that I've done has one of these cards in it somewhere. So I'm looking, here's the Nature's 101 Secrets. I'm going to look to the back side of the card and back side of the book, and here's a card from one of the Sustain Yourself decks, one of my collages, and it's called Nourishment. It's like a cornucopia of great whole organic food. And so the message from this is, we are what we eat. And if you're putting crap inside you, that's who you are. And if you're poisoning yourself, and by the way, nature does not poison itself. It really doesn't. So the whole message of this is don't poison yourself with artificial chemicals and sweeteners and all that kind of stuff. I would say it's not just only nourishment about food, but it's what I would call the elemental diet. And the elemental diet is about eating the right foods and not too much, but about being able to hydrate. We come from a water planet. This earth is an ocean, really. And so the idea coming from the ocean and the sea, we need to keep ourselves hydrated, and we probably don't. I had chronic fatigue 20 years ago, and I realized it was from dehydration. I was really not drinking enough. Also, back to the elemental diet, do you get enough daylight per day, enough of that vitamin D that people are talking about? It's just natural light. You don't have to be burning out there in the sun, but get outside in pure light, if you will. Do you get enough of that? And do you get enough air? Do you really, really breathe and aerobicize your life? Because the studies are in now, and if you're not doing some kind of breathing practice, walking fast, breathing hard, or any kind of breathing pranayama, Hindu meditation, or any of these kind of breathing practices, you are not getting enough breath, and all diseases flourish in oxygen deprived conditions. So come on, let alone our brain, which is the greediest organ for air of any of our organs in our body. The brain needs more and more breath. And the scientists can show you, the neuroscientists, when you start breathing and making this a practice, you do grow new brain cells. Talk about keeping yourself younger. So those are one of some great tips, I think, about staying young and keeping on, keeping on. And then I'm going to go to another book of mine. Let's see which one I've got here. Oh, this one is called Renew. Actually, this is the latest book I just wrote, and it's about activating nature's renew abilities in you using the growth process of a tree. You know, we get these success plans. We'll do this and one, and then do two and three and four. There's linear, and they're kind of abstract, and you have to kind of memorize them. And I don't know, I have a hard time with that. So my renewability growth map, and that's what we need to keep on keeping on, sustain, is a map, a road map. And the road map of a tree, of a plant, is so easy to follow because we all know it, and it works. So we start out with the seed and the roots and the trunk and the branches and the falling leaves and the bark and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what I have here, is a complete growth plan. And if you're growing, you are living, and you're going to stay alive, because when you stop growing and stop creating, you are busy dying here. So let's see on the backside of this book. Yeah, okay. The backside of this book has one of my Sustain Yourself cards, and it's called Balance. It's Polarity. It says the ability to rebalance your life. Like there's a North Pole and South Pole on the Earth that you're looking at here. Symbolic, again. But back to this as a tip for the regenerative lifestyle. It's about living according to Newton's third law of motion, which is, yeah, this is just so fundamentally important. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So a lot of us think about balance, and we want to stay balanced, but for us, balance is like, it's kind of like a flat line, and even our heart rate is not flat. It goes up and down and around. And that should be our lifestyle. It's a dance, and it's all about rebalancing our life, but it's all about doing the opposite. So if you've always been doing this and this again and again, over and over, change it up. Do something different, because then you are living according to the physical properties and laws of the universe, and you can do no better, no more than that, but live in sync with how this earth, how this universe works. So that is a huge, huge tip I know, for example, in my way, I love to create, I love to write and all that. But sometimes what it tells me is, wait a minute, I'm sitting at my computer, I'm getting into sedentary behavior dysfunction, which is an actual psychological dysfunction and pathology. So my rebalancer, my tip from the sustainability cards is get up and move. Get out of your chair, get off of the screen, walk, go to the ocean, just take a walk, go breathe, get free, emote, but do everything that is not being mental and sitting still at your computer. It's a great, great trip. Okay, now, this is maybe my favorite book of all to write because I see myself as a green man. And I became a green man, meaning I am committed to the renewable lifestyle of renew, renew, renew. Because green man is the spring god. After the winter, winter is death. It's time of little falling leaves and silence and cold of nothing. It's a hermetic kind of existence. And then, boom, here comes the spring. And that is the green man. The personification of spring is this eternal green man. Green, it's spring, by the way. So, to learn how to be more of a green man, I actually took on this legendary mythic character, Green Man, and kind of in my imagination, just strictly imagination, would imagine Green Man and have a imaginal conversation with this guy. And eventually, this green man became my mentor, became my coach. And out of that relationship, actually, I wrote this book. It's called Adventures with Greening Man. Not green man. Green is like a noun. You look at most green man pictures and they're old. Some guy with vines and whatever. It's really green man who scolded me in this book when I was kind of talking to Green Man. He said, dude, I am not green. I am greening. I am a verb. I am always in motion. I am living. When you are a noun, you're iconic, you're a statue, you're fixed, you're dead. So this was just a wondrous, it's actually an ebook with 10 different videos of me. And Greening Man would ask me to go on these assignments to prove myself with a video. So there's 10 videos in this book. First one was go find your path in the forest or in the woods or in the mountains. And so I had to go literally find my green trail. And of course I had to document with the videos. Now this is an actually in print book, which you can get on Amazon, and it's by me, of course, but it's called Adventures with Greenie Man, My Mythic Mentor for Ever Renewing Life. And this was such a blast to write. Now what's the card on here? Oh, the card is Earth. And at the top of the card, this is again from the Sustain Yourself deck, Green Wisdom, if you will, it says diversity. But when you look at this card, this is Earth. This is an abundant world we live in. Back to that whole DNA discussion, we are connected to all the plants and all the creatures of the world. And so we have so much savvy. We have 2.5 billion years worth of wisdom. So if we think we're limited, get over it immediately. I don't want to hear any, I don't know enough, I can't do it. Forget it. You know more than enough. It's just accessing your natural wisdom because it does live within you. Actually, one of my favorite cards in the Sustain deck is bacteria. I know, and we're mostly bacteria, by the way, but people think bacteria, oh no, terrible stuff. Get over that one, by the way, also, because we are bacteria. Take a look at how many different bacteria strains there are in your stomach. Oh my gosh, amazing, amazing. So anyway, the great wisdom of bacteria is kind of my hero in nature, is that they are infinitely adaptable. If it hadn't been for bacteria, we would not be here, because when life was first forming 2.5 billion years ago, oxygen, which is a gas, was toxic. It was poison for anything living. No plants, no animals, no cells could live on Earth because of this thing called oxygen. Who figured it out? Bacteria. Bacteria came along and said, hey, I am an adaptive creature, I am nature, and I'm going to eat this stuff, oxygen. I'm going to breathe this stuff, oxygen. And, and sure enough, uh, bacteria learn how to use, eat, consume oxygen the way it consumes everything, even our modern day antibiotics. That's why they only is good for so far, because bacteria will figure it out. So they are infinitely adaptable, always evolving. Talk about a perpetual, ever renewing, ever living lifestyle. Look at the bacteria. I have a really cool looking card. This is the cards about bacteria. Most of us really don't know much about nature. And I find when I'm teaching these cards, and here I am in Great Barrington, actually in Massachusetts, one of my favorite bookstores, Crystal Essence, and I'm teaching the eco-spiritual growth path here. It's an afternoon class that it's mostly about education. It's really mostly about informing people about these extraordinary powers of nature. And the fact is that we have it all within ourselves. So it's a wondrous kind of thing. I'm so happy, again, maybe being fated by the fact that I was born on Earth Day. Now, the last book I want to introduce you to is called Sustainable Life, The New Success. Big, big book here. And these are footprints, and it's about what is your footprint in the world. And by the way, one of the great things about being able to live a sustainable life is knowing that your work, your life on earth has a purpose, and it's to leave a legacy for the ongoing evolution of the consciousness of humankind, creature kind, plant kind, and of the earth itself. And if you have that aspiration and that drive in you to know who you are and how you're meant to be producing, and producing what, which all of nature does except for us humans, because we have choice, we don't know who we are. All of nature knows itself. A robin knows it's a robin, doesn't try and be a worm. No way, no way, no way. So the whole idea, one of the great tips for being able to constantly renew yourself is know that you are on the right path. That is what you're destined to be, because that's who you are. And there's a concept which I really fully ascribe to. It's called future pull. So take an example of a redwood. A redwood starts as this little tree, but it knows it's supposed to be a towering tree, these giant redwoods. It knows that. It knows that's its life purpose. And so it creates itself to be this high tree. But in doing that, it is pulled naturally, instinctively by the life force to be this incredible giant redwood tree. Amazing. It's what we call the future pull. So life becomes so much more effortless, so much easier when we are doing our thing that we are meant and purposed to be. We are pulled by the life force to be the best we can. And again, life becomes so much more enjoyable. And so that's the Sustainable Life book. Let's see. Oh, the card on this one, actually on the cover of this book, is the mother of all creation, Gaia, I suppose, mother goddess. All of us come from the mother principle, if you will. And it's called creation, of course. And so, if you're not creative, I think Bob Dylan might have said this, if you're not busy creating, you're busy dying. I love that kind of quote. And it's so true. So life is all about, again, you look at nature, which is sustained forever and ever. It's always producing itself. It's continuously creative until the day it dies. And that's who we are meant to be doing. Retirement is a bogus concept. That is unnatural. And that will get us in trouble. It's not about retiring. It's about refiring. And for those boomers who are getting old and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I don't have enough money, and oh yeah, my body's beginning to crap out, and what about my work and all that? It's about being able to re-boom here. So life is, and for millennials who have to go through, so those of you who are basically 21 to 34 or something like that, the millennial age, which is the largest demographic in America today, and the most educated demographic in the world, in the history of the universe, or the world of the earth for sure. But it's demanding because of the change of economy and the demand and the need for you to change your job again and again and again and again. So the difficulty and the challenge there is to restart again and again. And that's why all these renewability tips that I am committed to, and I live them and I have studied them and I love to share this stuff. And again, go Google me, James Wanless, Wanless, or go to my website, James, and then with a hyphen, and then my last name, Wanless, Wanless, and get my schedule for teaching. And I present a lot of this green wisdom on my Facebook page, James Wanless, on Instagram as well. I teach around the world, around the country, because I love what I do. I am 74 today. I am 74 years young. And I am planning on working because work is my joy. It is my purpose. It is my passion. It is my play. It is my path. And when you get those P words lined up, I call it the P test, the prosperity test. When your work is your personality, then you can go and go and go. And that's the secret to renewability. So thank you for listening to this. This is my birthday gift to myself because I just really love talking about this and presenting the wonderment of nature and the fact that it's doable and that it's universal. It is multicultural. It's multiracial. It's not just for those people with that education or this amount of money or anything. It's human, and we can all do this, and we should do this. So, hey, you guys, live wild, like I say. Live wild, my friends. Endure and keep on. Take care.